June's mystery block of the month is Birds of a Feather. We're excited to share with you why we love birds and why we chose birds. The Riley Blake bird is our logo, and we have two options that we want to share with you.
We've done a lot of fabric with birds, but we love our Riley Blake bird. This is quite extensive in needle turning and very advanced. So we have this template to download, but we are going to teach today how to do a simpler needle turn project.
Right, and I even suggest taking out the legs. Like if you have not done needle turn and you're fearful of it, I would suggest taking out the legs and just doing the bird itself, and I think that'll keep it really simple for you. So the first thing that we want to do, of course, is choose our fabrics. And so we've chosen these ones. And
each only requires 3 fabrics. I used a solid, our sky blue, our brownie, solid, and then a gingham. So that's all you need for that bird if you're going to do this one.
Right, and then of course your block, which is cut 12.5 by 12.5 inches.
Right, your white background.
Your white background, or whatever you're using for your background. So you'll have a template that you'll download, and you'll notice that I've had to piece it together here in order to get that bird. And then of course the wing, and then the 2 little templates for the legs. Now one of the things we want to do that's easy on this one is find the center of the block. And then this way, once we get all our pieces, we can make sure that we're
centering your bird.
Right, and I usually just will press that, and then we'll have a nice center for the bird. So then we'll take our pieces, and there's a couple of different ways. I know that I've got a board with some sandpaper. Sue Daly sells a really nice board, and when you trace your fabric with your marking pen or pencil, it doesn't move, it stays. So, and once you've got your templates downloaded, a really good way for a beginner too is to trace these onto freezer paper. And then you can take, and the wax side, you can actually press.
And it adheres a little bit.
Right, and it adheres, right, the wax adheres for just temporary, and then you can take and trace right around your mark. So let's use the end of this fabric here. And then we're just using our template, and we're holding that in place, and then we're just tracing. But
and what Jina does is she traces around the entire bird, but she's not going to cut on that line.
Right.
Because when we're doing needle turn, we need that 1/4 inch around to tuck underneath the body of the fabric.
Right, so
if you were going to do a blanket stitch and use your machine to applique, then you could cut on the line, couldn't you?
Yeah, right. And we'll teach that for another block that we're doing, show how we do that. So on this one, we're going to just quickly kind of cut this out so that I'm not dealing with all that excess fabric. And then take, and if you can see my tracing line there, I like just shy of that 1/4 inch mark. In fact, when I get up around some of these places, especially like the beak here, I'll clip straight because I don't like all that excess. And then I'll go just shy so I don't have so much bulk when I'm, needle turning. So I go all the way down. You can tell it's just, it's a little shy of that 1/4 inch. Mm-hmm. Now again, when I get to this tail end, I also like a little less bulk on this tail, so I'll go even like 1/8 of an inch in. But be careful because you'll want to clip a lot of these curves. So you can always cut away your fabric, but you can't add to it. So be careful.
And your
you're
first
not going
go around, you don't cut too much.
Yeah. Oh, and we got this one little part over here. So then once we get that, let's find our center. And of course, place that on here. You can find the center on that. And
kind of eyeball it. That looks about the center.
Right, and what you'll do is look over here at the beak, and then you'll place everything on. All right, now that we've found the center of our block and we've scented our bird, we're going to use our Fons and Porter glue stick.
Those are very handy.
They are. So all you do is just place a little glue on the bottom here.
And that just tacks down your bird so it doesn't shift when you're appliquing.
Yes. And it's very nice. Okay. So we've glued a whole bird on here and got it centered where we'd like it. You'll notice that we've placed the legs underneath the bird. That's what we'll be stitching
That's
first.
the order. So you go legs, bird,
and then the wing.
the wing.
And then we'll do the eye very last. So what we'll do is, if anyone out there doesn't know how to do a French knot, well, one of the things, we love this needle.
Yes, we do.
This Sue Daly's milliner's needle.
That's a size 11.
It's just a great size.
Perfect
nice
size for applique.
Yep.
Long enough,
nice
not too
length.
thin.
And, yeah. So we like using this, and I'm going to show you how to do a French knot. So once this is threaded, you'll take your single end, and you'll face your needle, and then you'll wrap. I don't know, 3 or 4 times, and then hold it in between your forefinger and your thumb and pull that needle through. And as you pull it, you get this wonderful knot, and it does not come undone. So once you've got that.
That's a great tip. And we should point out that we usually get a thread similar to the fabric so you don't see your stitches.
Yes, and one of the other things too that we need to talk about before we start sewing is clipping. We need to clip. We've already clipped most of this. So along here we've clipped just to that line, to our tracing line, all the way, and then just right through here, anywhere where there's an indent, or right here where there's the cleavage on the little beak of the bird. And then of course right here I've clipped like into the wings. I've got one there, and I've done a couple there just so that I'll be able to turn those. And then of course, yes, this is kind of the fiddly part on the little leg. So you'll want to make sure that you do like quite a few little clips, because they can get very around these little areas.
It's very bulky and it doesn't want to roll under, does it?
Yeah, so you'll notice I've left maybe 1/8 of an inch on these, just because you just can't there's not enough room for all that bulk. And the little clips all the way along. So once you've got that, it's nice to have a pin to kind of hold this back. And then take your needle and turn under. Make sure you're up underneath. And then
And that's what needle turn's all about, is turning that edge with your needle.
Yes, if you use your fingers, that's what creates that fray. So it's all about using your needle. You'll notice as I pull up, let's try that again. You'll notice as I pull up that I'm just grabbing a few of those hairs or those fibers on that fabric. And then I just turn this under with my needle. I'm going to go straight down and then come up at an angle. Now because this is so little, I try to keep my stitches maybe 1/8 of an inch apart on this area right here. Notice your thread is right here straight. I'm going to go straight down next to that and pull up at an angle and just grab those little stitch.
I think that's a mistake a lot of people make. They go forward on this instead of going next to it and going forward underneath.
And then you create a long stitch. You want to hide your stitch. So again, when you're right here, go straight down, come up at an angle. And again, you notice that I'm just turning with my needle. My thumb is kind of an anchor where it holds it, and it almost finger presses as I go, but this just needle turns. So this is the tricky part. You're getting to the really thin area. So my stitches become littler and littler. I mean, they're just tiny and they're close together, but when you get them tiny and close together, then you're able to angle it and you don't have all those pointy things. All right, so let's do this beak area. We're going to come in from the back just down below, because I think that showing those points are just as important as getting in these little cleavage areas. So you'll go straight down where you came up.
Slowly moving forward.
Yep. And I do, as I get closer to my point, my stitches are just a little bit close. I mean, they're pretty close together, maybe a 1/16 of an inch. And then once I get that point, you'll notice how that's straight. I'm going to fold it as if it were like a gift on a corner of when you're folding a present. Pull this straight under. And then
And you fold the other
fold
side.
the other side. And what happens when you fold that other side, if I can get it under here, I'm going to go a little bit further because I want all of those lines under. I'll pull, and when I yank, do you see that point right there?
That's a nice
As
point.
I pull, now I'm going to go down and do a couple of little anchor stitches right in that beak. And then I just continue up the other side. And you'll notice it just creates, and maybe we'll just go up to that little area on this beak here and show you this point and how it squares off right here. Whenever you clipped, you want to make sure that you're grabbing those raw edges and pulling under. So I know that I've got a raw edge right by that clip. So I come right to the clip, just a couple of hairs in front of it. I'm going to turn, push this under, and then pull that right through. And so there you've got your nice point on your beak. You'll notice I'm pulling firmly because once we press all this, it'll, press out and stay nice.
And you have a nice point there, so you use the same method to get the swing.
Yes, the same as this right here. So that's about it. I mean, as far as needle turn, patience.
And moving slowly. And we thought it would be fun. You can add a button. You don't have to do a circle on there. That's another method.
We have 2 blocks, one for the advanced sewist.
Yes, we had to do our Riley Blake bird, but it's really fiddly and there's a lot to it, so we wanted to do a more beginner version.
And then
as
the
well.
beginner version, which we've said take out the legs if you're worried about those, and you can just have this simple bird and have your little button for your eye, which again will simplify it.
So thank you for joining us for our June block of the month.